I want to let you know why I think Alice Austen is an extraordinary figure and why the designation of this National Historic Landmark as a site of LGBTQ significance is an enormous achievement. When I came out publicly in 1970, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, LGBTQ folks or queer folks, were considered criminal by the police and the military, sinful and immoral by most religions, and sick by doctors. Homosexuality was removed as a mental disease from the psychiatric DSM or Diagnostic Statistical Manual in 1973. I was 29 years old. In 2003, the Supreme Court ruled that private same-sex conduct is not a crime. I was 59 years old. The largest religious denomination in the US, the Southern Baptists, still think homosexuality is a perversion and an abomination. You get the idea. Now, imagine what it must have been like to live as a lesbian nearly a century before I came out. That's when Alice Austen was living her life. Fortunately, for me and for all of us, Alice has made it easier to imagine because of the photographic record she made of herself and her friends and lover. When I came out, I needed to see a reflection of myself as real and not diseased or demonized. I was desperate for pictures of lesbians. I couldn't find any. To generate some, I became a photographer myself. To feel I was not alone, I started what became an extensive excavation of lesbian history. I was so happy when I found Alice Austen. Unlike anyone else, Alice made photographs of her intimate, funny, sexy, private life with her women friends. To see them together, these Victorians, transgressing as many expectations of proper female behavior as they could in front of Alice's camera. Smoking cigarettes, I think fake cigarettes. Dressing in male drag with mustaches, active and athletic, riding bikes and driving cars and fixing them, playing tennis and the banjo, hugging each other and having slumber parties in bed together. Such a joy to see. Yes, Alice had advantages of race and class, which gave her the freedom to do this. But it was her personal courage and determination to make a record of her woman-centered life that set her apart from so many other self-silencing lesbian visual artists of her time and long after. And I'm not blaming those people. There were plenty of reasons to stay in the closet. But Alice didn't, not really. In addition to this unique record of her social sphere, Alice made thousands of photographs out in the world, while many other women photographers stayed inside their studios. Largely self-taught, Alice became technically very adept and kept impeccable records of each negative. I wish I had done half as well as Alice in that regard. She was neither a social reformer nor one to romanticize. Alice photographed in the streets of Manhattan, and when she traveled abroad, 22 trips she made abroad. She made a major study of immigrants quarantined on the islands in this bay. Although her photography was almost entirely unpaid and unpublished, Austen's body of work rivals that of any professional. Alice became destitute after the stock market crashed in 1929. In 1945, just before being evicted from her lifelong home, right here, Clear Comfort, she sold all of her last remaining possessions for $600. But she gave her glass plate negatives to a friend from the Staten Island Historical Society. She didn't sell them. She didn't destroy them. She preserved those precious glass plates, some 7,000 to 8,000 of them. I don't know if she could have guessed what a profound effect they would have on a young dyke photographer searching for her foremothers. Thank you. We have an obligation as a nation to preserve our history for the generations to come. Queer history is important not only for the LGBTQ community, but for everyone, because our lives and culture often offer a valuable alternative to the prevailing norms. LGBTQ people have always existed, but our history has either been ignored or actively erased. There are more than 92,000 places on the National Register of Historic Places. Queer folks make up at least 5% of the US population. A proportional number of sites would be 4,600. Alice loved speed. Her friends were afraid to get in the car with her because she was such a speed demon. So a proportional number would be 4,600, and that's without the bonus percentage points for fabulousness. You've been told by Ken and Joshua how many sites are listed by the National Register explicitly because of their association with LGBT historical events and people. 14. 14. 1-4. Today, we celebrate the redesignation of the Alice Austen House as a place of significance to LGBT history. What is happening here today is a very big deal. It's part of a broader initiative to discover, uncover, and recover LGBTQ history and literally put us on the map. Gertrude. Alice Austen and Gertrude Tate were together as devoted lovers for 53 years. They lived right here together for nearly 30 of those years, but until recently, Gertrude Tate was practically invisible at this museum, and there was one isolated mention on the website. The truth of their relationship was hidden. It takes a lot of work to change things. I would like to thank Professor Andrew Dolkart and all the people who worked with him from the NYC LGBT Historic Sites Project for writing the nomination that resulted in this redesignation. I would like to thank Anne Novotny, a lesbian who wrote the only book about Alice Austen and who was the first chair of the Friends of Alice Austen. That organization saved Clear Comfort from decay and demolition. This amazing, tangible property can now become a destination for all those seeking a comprehensive, uncoded, inclusive consideration of Alice Austen and her contributions. Alice and her contributions to American history. welcome Alice and Gertrude and their loving relationship into the sunlight. They had so much fun here, and now we can all find out more about it and share in their iconoclastic, irreverent, lesbian lives. Thank you.